I'm Jim Check. You're watching Now Media with me, Gord Lovegrove, and special guest, Holger Boucher. Close? There you go.
Yes, thank you very much.
And you can tell what we're going to talk about. And we've talked about this with Gord in the past. UBC prof, visionary, dreamer, closer to reality. Actually had one of his students mock this up in 3D printing. This is kind of a mock-up of what the hydrogen train will look like.
Indeed,
First concept anyway, right?
It's we call it 1.0 because you can see there's imperfections, but I think you did a pretty good job for 20.
That's a great concept, right?
Yep.
It's absolutely a great concept.
Been running for 40 years in Karlsruhe, Germany.
There you go. And that's why Holger's here, right?
Exactly. He's the German expert advisor, former scientific advisor to the German government on energy and transport.
Maybe we'll turn it over to you first, Holger, because this is Gord's vision for our Okanagan Valley here, to kind of get some mass transit going here with hydrogen, clean energy. Maybe tell us how it's working in Germany. Are you there? He might be frozen. Did we lose him?
He's frozen.
Okay. Well, we'll keep talking, see if he can get him back.
Are you there?
You might have to call us back. Maybe just kick him out so he calls back. Well, we'll keep talking while he's doing that. Amazing that they did it in 3D though. I mean, in 3D printing. There he is. He's back.
Oh, sorry about that. I didn't know what happened.
There you go. So we were just asking, I don't know if did you hear me when I was asking you if you could explain how things are working in Germany right now, and like the vision here for Kelowna, and how far off is this for a reality for here?
Well, at least we have lots of these kind of tram trains traveling within the city roads on the normal road, and beside on separated lanes and outer parts of rural areas. These are in operation in Karlsruhe, for example, for more than 4 decades already. So that's just proven technology. The hydrogen version, so the hydrogen propulsion, let's call it, is started in a few years ago. So the first generation had its problems, but the second generation is already on the run. So yes, it's all close by technology, proven technology, and it's just waiting for some more applications outside of Germany.
So you have some hydrogen trains running there in Germany then that are similar to this look here?
There are trains in Germany in operation using hydrogens, but they are just at least rail car size, so it's about 40 meters long. Which will be pretty close to this one that should be operating in the Okanagan Valley or somewhere else in Canada if you set up a new system within the city. There are differences in regulations, let's say, but this is not a technical problem. It's more lawyer problem, let's say. So yes, you find these kind of trains operating with hydrogen in Germany in operation.
So when do we get to see it here then?
10 years.
10 years.
The start of planning, and we've made presentations up and down the valley, and Holger has been answering questions to regional districts, First Nations, local government planners on those issues, technical and economic feasibility. We publish international papers. I gave you that as a gift today.
Right, yeah. I'll read that when I need to go to sleep.
Exactly, reading material, although there is a one-page double-sided brochure.
There you go.
But to say 10 years from data planning, the other thing we've been asking and talking and getting input on is, we know we need a planning study in this valley, Jim. Roughly $3 million. So we're looking, and we think we've found potential partners to get the funding to start the formal planning. And the first step, obviously, would be consulting with all the local governments, all the First Nations, regional districts, including, obviously, the province, because this is potentially running parallel to the Highway 97 from Osoyoos to Kamloops. It's not just Kelowna. This is the entire valley connecting.
Right. And maybe just let's take a look at the train and how you've kind of laid out this. So this is the hydrogen tanks. You explained that to me earlier.
Correct,
That's the
yes.
tanks. And then this is the battery, right? So the
Correct.
battery stores the excess energy generated by the hydrogen, I take it, and from braking, regen, and stuff
Fuel
like
cells.
that.
Yeah.
And these are fuel cells
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the hydrogen, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So all electric traction, all axles are powered and run by electric motors off of the battery pack, which is kept charged by the fuel cells. And probably, can you see that? Yeah, I guess you can a little bit.
A little bit of brain there. We
yeah,
can kind of tip that over there.
Control system,
Yeah.
power module.
Yeah.
And the other thing I should point out is this is from a G-scale, basically garden scale, old railway set, the only set of rails I had. But in cities, you would have like a streetcar, so you wouldn't see this. You'd see embedded
So it
flush rails.
it
You'd share
wouldn't wreck
lanes.
the traffic, the road for
You
traffic, right?
You
So it'd be
wouldn't take away lanes in
Yeah.
cities. And at higher speeds on the highways, this thing can go up to any highway speed that we've got here in BC. You'd have it separated off to the side, as Dr. Bush has said.
Yeah. It looks pretty impressive. So cost-wise?
All the numbers, all the details have been independently peer reviewed, and I had Dr. Holger vet them as well as some Canadian contractors. It is roughly half the cost of widening highway, so adding a lane to Highway 97. So, center line wise, somewhere around $5 million per kilometer if you want an actual number. And of course, that depends on the terrain. There's station costs, there's an operations shed cost, but the entire cost. So if we, one of the cries that we've heard recently with the last provincial election essentially is, hey, we want a second crossing to Kelowna from West Kelowna. Well, for the cost of the approaches, dealing with the impacts on neighborhoods, all the property purchase and the actual construction of the bridge, you could actually build and operate this system from Osoyoos to Kamloops for 30 years. So you want a second bridge crossing? Do you want to have something that's
so mass
more
transit
affordable?
kind of thing? And then what would be the amount of cars that would be part of each train kind of thing?
Couple hundred
cars in the whole
taking off the road, private cars.
Oh, no, just like I meant like, because this is like a two.
This thing is half of the ultimate. Yeah. So as Holger said, 40 meters. So if you think about a Rocky Mountain double freight truck, which is two trailers behind a tractor, that's the length we're talking about. This thing can start and stop just like a bus in terms of ability to brake and start again in traffic. You'd have priority signals,
so if there's two trains, then you would have some pullouts so that they can pass each other, I guess.
At each station, you'd have a siding so that you can load depending on which direction you're going. That's the passing points, and then you have a single set of tracks between cities.
Right, so you get pullouts, just like how CN kind of runs their stuff right now. Right? So.
Except this is not going to share with freight trains.
Right, I'm just saying, like you have. Well, maybe it does. Maybe the whole roof becomes freight.
Well, actually, the only thing we have been talking about, because we have to worry about the fact this can go over the existing floating bridge. It's a 40 to 15 ton is weight. Right. You know how Greyhound used to have those small trailers?
Yep.
So you could have light freight maybe towed behind this thing, wine, fruit, things like that.
There you go. And what do you think, Holger? Is he a visionary or is he crazy?
I wouldn't call it. I would just say he's a designer of the concept. I mean, you desperately need a solution for the traffic in that area, and especially for those people who are not able to drive a car for any reason, or that just don't want to. Just like me as a tourist, I just prefer testing a wine and go home, having had a wine already, so I can't drive anymore. That's lots of opportunities having a train, tram train around that gets you home. That's the most important thing. And it's also quite a lot of importance for this, for people having children, for example. If they can go home alone, so they don't have to get picked up, that saves quite a lot of time, especially for women who usually have to do this work. So if you get the female point of view in this, you find out there's a lot of advantages. And at the end of the day, yes, you can live without a tram train in that valley, but you simply don't want to.
So what is the population density where this starts to make economic sense? Is Kelowna at that like population density?
Oh yes, we have. If you just talk about Kelowna, we have cities in Germany which are smaller than Kelowna and having a tram system, So certainly it does. In Canada, it's a bit more widespread, and as the piece of land that you own, if you have a house, is a bit larger than in Germany. But you can overcome this easily with a combined transit system, meaning that you have to have a good schedule, a good timetable that combines the buses and the trains together. So the buses are no longer going all the way the long distances. So that's doing intercity and within the town by the train, but you have this some kind of a shuttle bus. If you think about Vernon as a smaller town in comparison to Kelowna, you're going just to the side. So if you go north south through Vernon with a train, you go east west with a bus. And if you design the timetable proper, you can go from west to north and from east to south and all this kind of direction without waiting more than 2 minutes at the train station.
So
And that's the magic of it.
What are the advantages of hydrogen versus just full electric?
Full electric requires some kind of an overhead catenary system, which could be possible, but as your trucks are a bit larger than the ones in Germany, you have to hang the cable. It's much higher than we have to do it, and it's cost expensive. So at the end of the day, I think it's easier, as your electricity is far more cheaper than ours, to use the hydrogen fuel coming from solar panels, for example, or wind power. This is just cost effective.
Couldn't you charge the track though too? Couldn't you just charge the track?
Well, then you're introducing third rail problems, and they have issues with safety, right? Like SkyTrain.
Yes, right? Yes. In the very first beginning of the tram, so talking about something like 200 years ago or so, 150 years, they used to power the tracks, and suddenly a horse had steps on both tracks. You couldn't imagine how fast this horse is going after that. So no chance on this one. That will be
if you're about to have a heart attack, good time to step on the track.
Yeah, exactly.
Get a little boost.
Yeah, so no worries now. So either you use some kind of a catenary system on top of everything, but then you have problems at the bridges crossing the road, because usually the height of a bridge that goes over a road wouldn't be high enough to contain these wires, so you have to lift up the bridge. That makes it expensive.
And I'll just throw one last electrical thing. I just had a thought that they are testing like Driveover pads where you're charging. Do you know what I mean? Like, and not like there's no track or nothing. They're just almost like your phone. You're magnetic. You put the phone on the magnetic pad, and they're saying they're going to do the same thing to charge EVs that way.
Yes, could be a chance, but at the end of the day, I mean, we're talking about a bit more electricity that you need for a train than for a mobile phone. Even if your charger would be a little larger, it might come to a solution. But at the end of the day, it's also a question of the energy, because hydrogen you can produce whenever you have hydrogen electricity available. If you do it right on the spot, I need the train to accelerate now. You have to provide the power now. So that's a bit more complicated if you are relying on renewable energies like solar and wind.
And then is the idea, Gord, to do this kind of like this, like the start, like in, like say Kelowna to UBCO, and just kind of keep growing this? Is that kind of like the idea, like phase it, or?
Well, we've got a Valley Rail working group. And we've heard lots of opinions. November 21st, we had a public forum, and certainly it was looking like West Bank to the airport, or even Vernon as a first demonstration or test section. But you know, it boils down to where the funding's coming from, and there's interest among Indigenous communities. We don't know, and so whoever funds this is probably going to drive where the first demonstration track and section of rail happens.
Would the rail trail be kind of like a really good, that's conducive to this, where you could actually utilize the rail trail and then bury kind of track in the trail? Because it's already got a bed, right, for a railroad?
It's up to each community to decide that. This thing can go up to 10% grades. It doesn't have to go on a flat freight train grade. This thing can go over the bridge, which is 5 to 6% grade. You can go up the Highway 97 hill out of Okanagan Falls. It, yes, could go on the rail trail, but it does not have to. That's the beauty of this.
Right.
This gives us many different options, subject to the community consultation, and let them decide where they want the route and where they want the station. But having said all of that, Highway 97 is very much a centroid for population and business. So something parallel to the highways makes the most sense. And that's actually what we did our case study on when we were costing it out and doing the technical and economic feasibility studies.
So if we take a look at your timeline from, first vision to, like the first car that runs down the track, where are we at in that timeline, do you think? Are we at 10%, 15, 20, 25?
Oh, if I said 10%, I think that'd be optimistic. There's a lot of conversations. We've got a lot of grassroots support, Jim, but the planning studies, the kind of a cornerstone going forward from this point. We actually, based on some of the consultations we've had today, I'm optimistic, but I don't want to be overly optimistic. I think within the next year, we'll have the $3 million for a planning study. Then we consult all the way between Osoyoos and Kamloops. Once we've got about a 30% cost estimate, because then we've nailed down the route, station locations, and even the first demonstration track, that's, to me, the start of a 10-year process, because at that point, it's a political decision. We just have to decide, do we want to do this or not? Because it's a technology disruptor, it's safer, greener, more affordable, you name it. And it provides community and climate resilience. So there's all sorts of reasons we would do this, but at the senior levels, they need some confidence in the numbers. And they need to hear support from the community. And business has to see that every station is a potential opportunity to have a partnership. And the governance, that also has to be part of that planning study, Jim. So that's why I'm saying, like, the actual construction, probably a few years, 5 years. The rollout beyond that first section, that again will come down to.
So there's nothing like this in Canada yet, though.
You're absolutely correct. The only thing we've got close is, you're right. It's light. This is called light rail. Yeah. Everywhere else in the world is our urban, big city, high density solutions, which are 50 feet in the air and 300 million per kilometer. This is 3 to 4 to 5 million per kilometer.
So I guess my next question then would be, obviously you're trying to do here because you're here. Would this not be easier to prove out in Alberta?
Any
and
numbered
higher
highway.
Density population, all that kind of stuff.
This could do the Highway of Tears between Prince Rupert and Fort Churchill, right through.
But I'm just saying that like Edmonton to Calgary has that huge.
3 years ago, the Alberta government announced intercity rail. Absolutely. So I've contacted the consultants there. It depends where the province is in that process. I was trying to find out yesterday, anticipating that's probably a question you'd ask today, and I haven't heard.
There you go. And you could do a multi-track process. Get that multi-track. You know what I mean? You could do one here and one there.
Multiple track evaluation.
There you go. You just cut me in on it, I guess, right?
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, Jim. You were talking about, is this Jim's tram train? What is this thing going to be called? Yes, branding opportunity.
I just think if this is feasible for here, then it's going to be even more feasible in the prairies, right? Like,
100%.
Especially high density areas, right? Like,
you're right, and so there are many. This is, I'll say it again, a technology disruptor. It's affordable because, as Holger was saying, overhead wires double the cost. It's not affordable if you have to work at transmission lines, power generation, overhead, and then don't forget the maintenance and operating costs of all that. Over 30 years, this is a proven, we call it hydrail, hydrogen rail power technology. It is the way to go, so that you don't have to have a long electric cord or long wires or third rail or whatever. This actually works. It's working in Germany. The actual car with overhead wires has been running in Germany for 40 years. So now it's just combining with made in Canada fuel cells.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the cool thing about lots of technologies. They're actually pretty simple if you look at, and it's just trying to like Amazon became a great company. They didn't do, you know what I mean? It's not like they're taking anything that's brand new they built. They just took things and kind of put them together, right?
A more efficient integration of the system.
And then the same thing with Tesla, right? Tesla, they didn't really invent the electric motor and all that stuff, but then they just, they put it together. And I think with hydrogen, if it works, and then the batteries and all that stuff, and then you have, and then the rail, obviously.
Right. How you integrate the system is exactly
the magic.
The focus of our research.
Yeah, the magic. There you go. When do we get a full scale? This guy got enough plastic to make a full scale size one?
No, not quite 2.0, but the neat thing is this could lead to local investment and jobs in a manufacturing plan. because we're looking at this as being, the only research in Canada on things like this, bringing this European technology, combining with Canadian, is happening right here. So why not in our valley?
Yeah, and I think that some of the cool technologies that even allow you to get it this far is 3D printing, right? Where you can actually take the concept, take it out of your mind, build it, and get yourself something without spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to get it casted or something like that, and then also using AI and asking questions and just making it better and better and better.
And
then
the federal government, National Research Council, Natural Resource Engineering Council are very interested and involved with us on this. So this is the research today has been funded by our federal government, and they're aware of this and they're looking. And so we don't need a high-speed rail, 400 million per kilometer solution. Jim, this as I've said before, it's roughly half the cost of widening our highways. This frees up tax dollars for other things.
I have to ask this question. Justin Trudeau, when he's out on the way out the door, is going to build this mega project from Quebec City to Toronto. Wouldn't this do that?
That is actually interesting. You raised that. They are looking at 300 kilometer per hour.
High speed rail. Yeah.
Yeah, with calling it high speed rail, it was originally a higher frequency. It is going to be on its own dedicated track. And when I was advising the Deputy Minister of Transport Canada, I said it's only successful if you do that. It would be obviously 100 times less expensive.
That's what I was getting. You know what I mean? Like here's something that probably works, right?
Yep. Like the problem is that even if it goes 150, it's still going to take twice as long as what they're talking about over there. So
what's going to take twice as long is building it.
Yes, because if you just look at California,
you and I won't be here to see it.
Well, and the best example in North America is what's been happening with high-speed rail in California.
Nothing, you mean?
Yes, and yet they've spent almost $40 billion. But what's happened in California is one of these in San Bernardino.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe sometimes the grand vision is more about better to do a practical vision.
Yep, more efficient use of resources and limited scarce funding.
So there you go, government. If you're watching, Gord will sell you this for half of the $4 billion in consulting. Just save $2 billion.
It's not anything new. I don't know that I have anything to sell other than to say the research suggests this is the economical, technical way to go.
Yeah, there you go. Anything you want to add, Holger?
Oh yes, if I'm allowed to do so.
Yeah, you go ahead.
If you look at Calgary, Edmonton, you can go with a higher speed, let's say 200 kilometers per hour, and you will need 2 hours travel time from one city to the other. But you end up that you will lose lots of time by changing from your local railway system, which exists in Edmonton also as well as in Calgary. But imagine if you can just go with one train from your local station with one of those. Then all the 10, 15 stations you have in the city of Calgary, then you start heading on towards via Red Deer and to Edmonton, and then you get in Edmonton on the tracks of their local system, and you end up not changing your train at all. So you don't have to change the train twice, saving twice the time of the time. So the speed is not that much important. It's more important the travel time from door to door. And if you are able to just get in the train in your living area, say, or quarter or whatever you call it, you name it, and you just go downtown, but your destination is not downtown because you just want to visit some friends who are not living downtown, they're just living somewhere on the station, outer parts of Edmonton, then you're saving quite time, even though you go slower. So the magic is the travel time, not the speed. So if you look at Toronto, Montreal, well, that's a different distance, which is much, much larger. Then higher speed does make sense. And the cities are, I think, also quite large. So you have the amount of passengers doing so. But especially if you look in more local areas or regional, let's say call it regional. So if you look at the BC Railway next to Vancouver, Chilliwack, Abbotsford, you name it, New Westminster, Richmond. If these cities could go downtown without changing trains, that would be the solution for having lots of cars less on the road. And if you have lots of cars less on the road, the car driver would also benefit from the train system, and you save on money on the highways.
So the new phrase I just want to coin here, because you said, well, nobody will understand that. What Dr. Busha, Holger just described is a streetcar or a tram, as they call them in Europe, a tram-train. So that's why we're really emphasizing on the tram or streetcar in cities dash train between cities, because it operates in two different speed regimes.
Streetcars of San Francisco.
Yeah, and look at those hills. There
Yeah.
you go. That's a
Yeah.
great comment.
There you go. Well, that's awesome.
If people want more information, as I said, there's a Valley Rail working group. We are looking for citizens and folks that want to just be involved, to connect, to advocate, to talk, to have questions answered, maybe even host a public forum anywhere between in Osoyoos all the way up to Kamloops. They can email me. You've got my contact with gord.lovegrove@ubc.ca, or obviously Jim and the crew here. Happy to talk and plug you in to the Valley Rail Working Group.
There you go. Thank you for your time, Holger.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
We look forward to the introduction of the first rail car smashing the champagne bottle in the front of it.
I will hope I get it.
Or a good German beer, maybe.
Are we allowed
like
to do champagne in this valley? Wait a sec. Is it an ice wine?
That's what I'm saying. Nice, like a good German beer or something. Or ice wine, I guess. Yeah. Oh, we got a lot of craft breweries, right?
There we go.
There you go. All right. Thank you for spending some time with us, Holger. And thank you, Mr. Lovegrove.
You're so welcome.
And then there you go. Visionaries. And a better way to get around, maybe.
It's a choice. It increases our choice.
There you go. Choices. Who would have thought we could have choices, right? We do thank you for making the choice to watch Now Media.
We don't just report the news. We live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. KelownaNow, local, independent. News you can trust.